Coming to you from the Paranormal Warehouse, Destination Mystery paints the story for paranormal content, abnormal adventures, and the fun behind the investigations. Each week, Mike and Melissa will bring a new adventure that includes going to some of the most remote places in the West. They will tell the story behind the investigation and share with you the evidence they discover. This is not your regular paranormal show. These episodes will bring new content from locations that no one would think to investigate or explore. We will not only tell the spooky story, we will go to the location where the spooky story originated. Fasten your seatbelts as we take you on an adventure that will make you question what's normal and what's paranormal. Hello and welcome to Destination Mystery on Paranormal Warehouse. We are on our 9th episode now. Tonight we have a special guest joining us. His name is John from Cache Valley Bigfoot. If you don't already follow him, I highly suggest that you do. He has a Instagram page. Do you also have Facebook, or is it just Instagram?
It's Instagram right now, but I'm going to get on Facebook. I got to.
Yeah, I have a Facebook page, but I don't know how to use it. So I'm mostly on Instagram also. Anyway, you can follow him at Cache Valley Bigfoot. And I am Melissa with Ghost Girl Memoirs.
I'm Mike with Paranormal Treasure Hunter.
And you are watching Destination Mystery. We have a few people joining us tonight. We have Michelle, Bo, Bernadette, Jolene, and Shaylee. Thank you for joining us tonight. We just wanted to give a shout out to all the people that join us every week and tell you thank you for making this possible for us. If you're joining us via podcast and we are sharing some evidence or pictures that you're not able to view on the podcast, you can go and view those on our website. I can't talk tonight at all, worse than normal, at www.destination-mystery.com. And if you don't have time to see our show on the Paranormal Warehouse, you can listen to us via podcast whenever it's convenient for you. We just ask that you please share, like, and subscribe. You can watch us or listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere that you listen to your normal podcasts. We would ask also that if you're watching tonight, if you could please hit the share button. That helps us get the word out. And also, this is a family show. Tonight will be perfectly fine for any youngsters to listen or watch in. And if you want to comment, this is an interactive show. Some of you have already started commenting, and I have my phone that actually works tonight. So I hope I'll be able to tune in and comment. If I miss your comment, I apologize. We have Lauren with Paranormal Teens that is also going to help us. And look at her cool shirt.
Show your shirt.
Woo-woo! Yeah.
Look at my cool shirt.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law gave it to me.
Michael and John decided to match tonight.
I got one too.
Wasn't even on purpose. We're just cool that way.
Yeah.
And I came straight from work, so I don't look cool. Stacy just joined us. Hi, Stacy. Gina. Hello, Gina. And Melissa, hello. Speaking of work, though, I have a funny story. So I had to meet with the state auditor this morning, and we had to do a Zoom call with my boss because she wasn't able to be there. But I couldn't log on with my computer at work because I don't have a speakers or a camera on that computer. So I had to log in with my phone, and I log into the Zoom call, and my name pops up, and guess what it is? Destination Mystery. Oh yeah, it was Destination Mystery. And I was like, and he was like, who's that? Oh, nobody. Don't worry about that. Anyway, I try to keep my weird away from work, but people, it didn't work. David says hello.
Sorry, I missed some of that.
I was meeting with the state auditors today. Am I going out or?
I can hear you.
No, it's me. My internet is unstable.
I was just saying that
So-
I had to meet with the state auditor today, and we had to do a Zoom call with my boss. And when I logged into the Zoom call on my phone, it came up with the name of Destination Mystery. And he was like, "Who's that?"
Oh,
It's I try to keep my work.
somebody
And
should get to know.
I told, yeah, maybe you should listen to the podcast. It's pretty cool. I don't know who they are, but it's a pretty cool podcast. Mark says hello. Hello from Mark Williams Ghost Adventures. Hey, Mark Williams, thanks for joining us. We'll have to check out your ghost adventures. Today is National Podcast Day, so happy National Podcast Day. Any funny stories either of you want to share before we get started?
No,
No?
I don't have any.
You have any, Mike?
It's not that eventful.
I had to get rid of half the decorations in my office so I could decorate for Halloween. And so my office is looking pretty bare right now.
It
And
looks like it normally does.
so we were at Spirit Halloween on Saturday, and I was looking for stuff, and my kids were like, "What? Like, you need more Halloween decorations? What are you looking for?" And I was like, "I'm looking for office decorations. These aren't Halloween decorations. You can stay up year round."
You can never have enough of those.
No.
But they didn't have any alien stuff there, and I was very disappointed. Penny says hello from California, and David says, "Come do some paranormal stuff in New Orleans." Oh my gosh, that would be
We'd
so
love to.
cool. I would love to. I'd love to do like one, any of them. Actually, I've only been there once, but New Orleans has a creepy vibe for sure, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
Isn't it the most haunted city in the U.S.?
I think so. Yes, to Gettysburg. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yep. Vicky says hi, y'all. All right, so like I said, we have John joining us with Cache Valley Bigfoot. John has a couple of stories in some books that that I've read. I don't know if any of you heard of them or not, but this one is called Stranger Bridgerland, and your story in there is called Bigfoot at the Beaver.
Yeah.
And then
That
go ahead.
And that's John Olson. That's not me.
Oh yeah, yep. John Olson wrote the book, and it's stories from the northern Utah area. And then this one is like the follow-up. It's called Stranger Bridgerland, also by John Olson. And your story in here was called Golfing with Bigfoot?
Yep.
Golfing with Bigfoot. So if you haven't read either of those books, they're pretty fun little stories to read. It's an easy read to get through.
Yep.
And they're just fun. They're a lot of fun. And you can read two of his stories in those books.
Yeah. He just put out a third one too. So.
Oh, he did? Is it
Yeah.
released?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Cool.
I
didn't
haven't
know.
seen it yet, but I know it's out.
Well, I'm going to have to get on and look. I didn't know it was out yet either. Penny says hello. Oh, I've already got that. Vicky says hi, y'all. Tony says I have a video I can't explain it from Louisiana. Louisiana, I probably say that wrong because I'm not from there. That would be fun to see, Tony. David says, yeah. Tony says, I am in it. Awesome. David, hello from Delray Beach, Florida. Hello. Oh, I wish I was in Florida. Robert, I would love to go vampire hunting in New Orleans. That would be fun too. That'd be a lot of fun, especially this time of year. All right. Did you want to talk about those stories in the books, or?
Well, I mean, I'll do the first one. That was when I was 12 years old. That's the one on the golf course up in Smithfield, Utah. And it was probably late spring. It wasn't open yet. We were trying to find golf balls because back then you could go find golf balls on the golf course and then sell them back for 25 cents each to the golf course. And so
Really?
we would always, oh yeah, it was great. We do it all the time. And so me and my friend Jimmy, we were, I can't remember what actually area. I know we were down in a gully, and there's a golf cart path that goes in between the gully. So like it cuts it off. And as we came out to this little part of it, there was a dead doe, a deer, and it looked freshly killed. Like it wasn't torn apart. It wasn't like, I mean, it just looked fresh and out of place. So I went up to it, and he was behind me, and there was a big old like bush in front of the deer, it was kind of starting to grow leaves and stuff. It was early spring or late spring. And I turn around because the deer didn't have anything wrong with it except that its neck looked like it was snapped, like it was bent backwards, and there was no ice, so like it didn't fall on the ice anywhere. And so I turned around at my friend Jimmy, and as I turned around, he just turned white as a ghost and he took off running. And I'm like, wait a minute. So, and he was known as a liar and a prankster and everything. So I just chased him up the hill because he was screaming too, which is not normal for him. And so I chased him and I caught him. I caught up him on top of the hill, and I said, what are you doing? And I thought he was just playing around. And all of a sudden he's just like, I thought I got you. I'm like, what are you talking about? I had no idea about Bigfoot, had no idea that they were a thing. And right when he said that, he said he thought it got me. I said, what are you talking about? This scream came up out of the bottom of the gully where we were. Like it was a roar. And at first we thought it was an elk. And then it started running, and it was running towards where we ran. But we ran up the left side of the gully, and it came up that way. And then all of a sudden it veered right, went up the other side and out the back side of the gully. And all we saw was a big brown blur running away from us. And I don't know if it had the deer in its arms or anything. It was one of the fastest animals I've seen. And when I asked him about it, I said, what do you mean that it almost got me? He said, when I turned around, an arm came out of the bush over my right shoulder, and it was trying to grab me. And that's when he ran.
Oh,
I didn't
geez.
see it. I never sensed it. I didn't see the arm. But I guess when he ran, it pulled back or something, or I ran too fast for it. But
And it was definitely on 2 feet, right?
Oh yeah, it was definitely on 2 feet, and I didn't know what it was then, and I was like, what, 12? And so, like a few days later, I'm in school, and I think Mike knows about this book. It was called, what's it called? Mysterious Places and Things. That was in the grade schools, and I get on there one time in the book, and there was a picture of Bigfoot, of the Patty film.
Oh.
And I saw that, and I'm like, that's what we saw.
Oh my gosh.
And ever since then, I just believed. I've had a few incidents here and there in other states and stuff like that, but that's the first time that I ever really had an experience.
That's kind of like with me when I had my first paranormal experience. I was about 9-ish. And ever since then, it's like, that's all I want to look into it and find out more and see if I can figure out why and what and where.
Yeah.
Paul joined us from Ireland. He says, sorry, what?
Oh, go ahead.
Paul joined us from Ireland, and he said that this is a lot better than the fiasco last night. He's referring to the debate. We're not even going to get into that. Am I right?
No, we're not.
He says he feels sorry for all of his United States friends. Thank you. Robert just joined us. He says, do you remember if you could smell it from the bush?
It was early. I mean, it was early spring, late spring. So there was tons of dead stuff on the ground, like leaves and everything. And so, I mean, it was just getting fresh. I couldn't smell anything, or I can't remember if I did or not. I just remember the deer. It wasn't like torn apart at all, or even eaten yet. It looked like it just barely happened because the neck was fresh. It was snapped back, and it was a doe. And yeah, like it wasn't even open yet. So, I mean, it must have barely happened right before we got down that gully.
Well, and if you were 12 years old, I mean, 12-year-old boys stink. So you might not.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, when I grew up with neighbors who hunted deer, so I saw deer, dead all the time. So like it didn't even faze me that it was a dead deer. But when he ran off, I was like, there was something about how he ran off screaming, because normally he wouldn't scream, he just run off and play a joke. But yeah, he was screaming. But when he turned white, that kind of sold me on it.
You knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Mike, do you remember when we went up to Smithfield Canyon and we found that rope?
Yes.
So we actually went up there, and we were just kind of trying to find a fun adventure and stuff. And when we went up there, it was like, I want to say February-ish, maybe.
March is a little later. The snow, well,
there wasn't a lot
February,
of snow.
March, somewhere in there.
but there was some snow, and we went into this area. It was at night, but we went into this area where the trees were like they were like smaller around, but
Mhm.
they were all just snapped off up high.
Yeah,
And we thought that was kind of weird. So that's right there by the golf course that John is
yeah,
talking about.
yeah. That's not far at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, but now they're all getting. So I was 12 back then, and there were no houses up there except like one back there in the backside of the golf course, and all the ones on the facing side of the golf course. But now there's neighborhoods all over that place.
Yeah.
So it's totally different now.
It's still pretty heavily wooded, though. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. If you
considering
go
all
up, yeah, if you go up to the mouth of Smithville Canyon, yeah, it's pretty good. They can't build past that, I think.
good.
Yeah,
Tired of everybody moving in.
yeah, exactly.
you got
Michael,
to
did
keep
you
it
have
squatchy
some?
there.
Yeah, did you have something you wanted to say before?
Well, I was going to ask him a question. My internet is really unstable, so I'm fading in and out. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I did it again.
we can hear you,
I
Mike.
can hear you.
I just lost you again. Um, so that was your first experience was as seeing Bigfoot?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Can he? Oh, he can't see us either. While he's getting his stuff back up,
Yeah, he
John,
might need to reset it.
Mark is asking if you were scared, and
Um, if I was scared of seeing it, or during the whole ordeal.
probably both.
Yeah, because after we saw it run away, we ran home pretty fast. Yeah.
Paul is asking, do you think maybe a parallel dimension and could explain a lot, maybe? What are your views?
Um, on Bigfoot, I believe a lot of what the uh, Native Americans, believe that it's been here for a long time, or they've been here. I have a story that I like. That's It's one of my favorites now that I heard about from a few other people that I'll share in a bit. But I think there's something to it. If they're parallel universe, if they're I don't know. It's an amazing subject. In so many avenues.
Yeah, really, there are. Michelle with Time Forgot just joined us, and she said, I was there on that spooky trip, or it was spooky, and she's referring to the time we went to the Smithfield Canyon.
Mhm.
Mark is asking how big it was.
Well, I was 12, and when I was 12, I was like 5 foot 5 or some of that, and it was way over my head. My dad was 6'4", and it was taller than my dad. And that was, as it ran away from us, I could tell it was taller than my dad.
Mike, can you hear us? He just texted me and said his internet's not working, but I can see and hear him just fine.
Yeah, he can reset it.
I'll tell him that. Maybe I'll do our commercial. Can you hear us? Maybe I'll do our commercial real quick while he's resetting it.
There for now.
Can you hear us?
Stupid internet.
Michael, we can see and hear
Yeah.
you just fine. So you can keep talking.
Oh, because you keep freezing up on my screen, but you still see me?
Yeah.
Or hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, all those words I just said?
Yeah, we heard everything you said.
Watch the F words.
Robert, Robert wants to know if, have you heard any rumors from the people who live near the golf course? And how many Bigfoot sightings are there still? I really don't know anybody that lives up there.
I really haven't heard much about that area anymore. I know Hyde Park has had a few, and Green Canyon.
Yeah, Green Canyon has.
High Creek up in Richmond. Not sure about Smithfield because it's so heavily used all the time. Maybe if you go higher, but Hyde Park is just like a canyon over. So I mean, I've heard lots of stories about that place. Well, I grew up in Hyde Park.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah.
Did you want to
each town has had a different name for it. So,
really? What are
yeah.
the different names?
Well, Hyde Park, when I grew up, it was called the Hillside Growler for some
Really?
reason. And Green Canyon, it was called the Green Canyon Shadow.
Huh.
Millville was, I can't remember. I think Millville was the Millville Creeper or something like that. High Creek was the High Creek Gorilla or High Creek Monster. I've heard these names off and on over my life growing up here in the valleys, but the Green Canyon Shadow, there's certain areas of Green Canyon, I know you've been there, that just have a vibe.
There's a
That
couple of
yeah,
stories about Green Canyon in that book.
yeah,
It
but
definitely.
there's just a vibe up there. Like it's funny. It could be a bright, a bright blue sky day with sun everywhere, and then you go in this one area, it's like dark, and
Mm,
it's just the feeling you get. Like it's weird.
that's what I've heard. I need
Yeah,
to spend more time there. It sounds like my kind of place.
yeah, for sure.
Mike, did you want to finish your question?
Can you hear me? I only
Yeah.
can hear about half of what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm actually missing most of it. Oh, I don't even remember what it was now. Keep going.
Have
I'm
you
so
tried
mad. Stupid internet.
have you tried restarting your
I just did it twice, and
Okay.
I only can
Well,
hear about half of you. So
so there's plus and minuses to living out in the middle of nowhere. One of them is there's no people, but also no internet. Robert wants to know
well, I
about
live out in the middle of nowhere,
Go ahead.
but everybody moved in. And the internet, we all share the same internet. So when everybody gets off work, it just turns to
Yeah.
crap.
Robert wants to know what your thoughts about Bigfoot migration patterns are.
Yes, I believe in that. I have a theory that they travel between here in Utah. Have you been to the upper
How do
trail that connects Utah to Colorado?
I
It comes
haven't.
right over. It comes right over the top of Beaver Creek, the Sinks area,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called the Great Basin Trail or something
Oh.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
It can connect from Idaho all the way through to Colorado, and you won't even really hit any small towns, and it's a straight through shot from the top of Utah.
So
Yeah,
there's
I believe that.
three different states that they could be.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that there's some that stay year round. There's some that are nomadic. So, yeah.
How you doing, Mike? Nothing. Okay, I'm gonna do our commercial real quick. We have a sponsor. We have a couple of sponsors, but I wanted to give a shout out to the Idaho Falls Plumbing Company who helped sponsor our show. I'm gonna put their logo up real quick. We have personally used this company on many occasions, and they do a great job. I don't know if you've ever had plumbing issues, but it's one of the worst things to ever experience. So I highly recommend if you're anywhere near the Idaho Falls area. I mean, they even travel to, I want to say they travel to Utah and Wyoming and stuff too. But if you're tired of dealing with poor water pressure, is the euphoria you experienced during a healthy poo ruined by the rejection of an ungrateful toilet that hasn't flushed properly for as long as you can remember? Maybe your pipes look terrible and you can't stand looking at the mess some half-assed plumber, pun intended, left in your mechanical room. Life doesn't have to be this way, and you don't have to be embarrassed about your plumbing anymore. Give us a call. The Idaho Falls Plumbing Company is here for you. Be proud of your pipes. You can reach them at 208-569-9743. That's 208-569-9743. So do you have any other stories that you want to share, John, or should we go into the question and answers while Mike's trying to get his computer back up?
Well, so like I mentioned before, there's a story I've heard from a few people, and one of them was from. Well, there's two stories. One of them was from a guy who runs a Sasquatch outpost in Bailey, Colorado, Jim. And
Fun.
do what?
I said fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a cool story. It's really cool. But he said this year there's been a few national forests up in Oregon that were taken reports of Bigfoot from their firefighters. So they had a system where they would ask the firefighters if they had any incidents of Sasquatch in these certain forests of Oregon. I'm not sure which ones they are. A few other people have said the same thing that I've talked to. It's supposed to be a secret, like a database, but they're doing this. But for some reason, they're doing research in these two forests.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
On Sasquatch?
Yes, if they experience anything Sasquatch in these two certain forests with the wildlife, but with the wildfire teams, they actually have to do reports on them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I doubt they make any of it public though. You
No.
think?
And how they found out is it came out, I think it was an accidental email or something like that came out to somebody who was in the Bigfoot community. And I found out about it from the guy in Colorado. And then I have a few friends who I've talked to who have family who are firefighters up there in Oregon, and they said the same thing.
So it's kind of like Project Blue Book, but for Bigfoot.
Pretty much, yeah. So I don't know. And it's funny, I talked to the guy in Colorado about it, and he says, if they weren't there, why would they do research on them?
Right.
If they're not real, why would there be a government funded, why would there be a government funded group, like Chain, doing database on them? So
right.
I don't know.
I went to a Bigfoot convention about a year ago, and I listened to Cliff Brackman do a presentation, and he was saying that the Olympic Peninsula had a group of loggers that kept coming across these nests, and they looked like gorilla nests, and they found like 200 of them in this area, and they couldn't explain like what animal would make these nests. Like they don't know of any animal that lives there in the peninsula that would make them. And within like 2 miles, they found at least 8 footprints. And these are loggers, that have been out there, and they're questioning what it is too. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, sorry, my clock's going off again.
Oh, that's okay. Robert said, when Bigfoot messes with your plumbing, call the Idaho Falls Plumbing Company. I'm sure that they've dealt with some weird stuff. Paul says that Bigfoot is big in the UK. Lass has spent ages researching. Love to hear some of your stories, Paul. Darren says hello. And then he says, if you caught Bigfoot, would you keep it to yourself or would you tell the world?
If I caught it,
yep.
I wouldn't even keep it. I would document, like get fur, get, blood sample or whatever, or, really get video and pictures, and I'd let it go. It doesn't have to be in a zoo, but they already have them. I'm sure the government already has bodies, especially after Mount St. Helens in 1980. There was tons of stories about them pulling out, Sasquatch bodies, and half dead ones and half, and burnt ones and everything. So they already have them.
Yeah, I kind of think they do too. And I think that a lot of people who research and document them would prefer that. So I forgot to let Michael in. There you go, Mike. I think that they are probably trying to protect the habitat and areas where they are.
Yeah.
If it were me, I would not tell the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's, I mean, why would they tell, let's say the average person from the city finds out that there's a, 7 to 8 foot, animal out, well, not animal, like, bipedal, something out there in the woods that, is out there. They wouldn't go out there in the outdoors. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they hide it for a reason.
I do too. Because I mean, the first time you show the picture and show it that, hey, it's real, here it is, people are going to go out hunting for it. Yeah. And you don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
We were just talking. Darren asked the question, if you caught Bigfoot, would you keep it to yourself or tell the world? Mike and I have had this discussion on numerous occasions. Give your view on it, Mike.
If I saw Bigfoot, I probably wouldn't tell anybody about it. I would want him to live free. Now, if somebody hit one on the side of the road, I could sell it for a lot of money. That's a different story, but I probably would leave it alone. I would want it to be free
Then you'd
because
have
they
all
would
the
hunt it down.
yeah. Then you'd have all the weirdos showing up to where you hit it.
Yeah.
I'd lie about where it was, but because
Go ahead.
I talked to Cliff Barackman about that once from Finding Bigfoot, and he said they will overrun your property if you tell them you saw something on it. They will overrun it. People from all over. I mean, you put something on there about a great fishing hole on the internet, and the next time you go out there, there's 40 people in your fishing hole. So what it would be with Bigfoot? So I wouldn't.
Hence the reason why we don't often tell people where we're at when we do our stuff, because we don't want to overrun with those people who aren't going to respect the area and stuff.
Yep, I agree.
I like my privacy, so I imagine Bigfoot does too.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I like being alone.
I was going to say I probably would tell my story if I saw Bigfoot, but I don't think I would give my location. Well, maybe I'd give my location, but I definitely wouldn't, like, I don't know. I would have a hard time sharing that, only because I wouldn't want people out there trying to ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
Darren has a question I've never thought of. Would you use the blood samples in the medical field to see if they can cure any disease and stuff, like maybe a cure for cancer? If you
That'd be
caught
cool
one,
if
I
they did.
guess.
Well, I'm not medically inclined, but that'd be cool if they could do that.
I guess.
I know they have elephant blood that has been shown to cure cancer. So.
I never even thought of that. I guess we could have my husband draw the blood if you ever catch one, John.
Yeah,
and we'll test it.
Good.
I never thought of that either, but I'd use it to help scare people away.
Yeah.
How to avoid people.
Yeah.
Mark says, yes, he's also very private on investigations. And Darren says, are there different kinds of Bigfoot and do they have families?
I think so. Like if you look at some of the photos of the Sasquatch down in Florida, they look way different than the ones up in the Northwest. And there's different coloring, heights. I know Ohio has the grass man, and Oklahoma has the grass man, and he's supposed to be smaller and a lot more red in color. I don't know. I know they have families. That's why I said there's some that stay and there's some that are nomadic. I want to tell this story. I heard this from a few different people now, and I'm trying to find the real article about it because this is like, this is from people who said they've seen the article. This happened like in the 1920s or 30s. I'm not sure if it was Canada or Oregon or Idaho or Washington State. There was a town that lived, the small town in the mountains, and they kept getting in this one area that was harassing, and they kept getting like their animals taken and dogs killed and, getting intimidated when they went through there. And they finally had enough of it. And they got together with the sheriff at the county and they said, we're going to go in there and blast them or take care of whatever's doing this. And the night before they had a big meeting, and as they were having the meeting, 3 tribal elders from 3 different tribes came into the meeting just unannounced and said, you guys do not go in this forest. We know who they are. They were here long before us. They know what they're trying to stop you from going in there. And they said, if you go in there, you will not come out. And that's what I believe. I think a lot of it, they've been here longer than us. The Indians know. If you talk to any Native American, and from any tribe, there's a different name for Sasquatch,
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's too much to be a coincidence when there's over 1,200 tribes in America back then, and they each have a different name for it, and different heights and descriptions and everything. I don't know. This whole subject is just interesting to me, and I know it is to you guys too.
Yeah, there's such a wide variety of
Yeah,
possibilities, and yeah, it fascinates me. Um, Irene from Tokyo just joined us.
there you go.
Um, Darren's from Wisconsin. I bet that's a pretty heavily um,
Yeah, he is a dog
Sasquatchy,
man.
yeah, Sasquatchy area. He might have said something about that. I missed some of the comments, so because they scroll through so fast, I apologize if I missed your comment. But um,
Hello?
hi, Mike, we can hear you. He's struggling. We can hear you, Mike. Um, should we go with the question and like, should we go with the questions that Mike sent, or do you want to?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Um, Irene said sacred areas are so protected, and it happens.
Mhm.
So well, you already kind of answered this, John, but the first question was, how did you get started in Bigfooting? And I'm guessing it's from that encounter you had when you were 12.
Yep, yeah.
How did you, or when did you know Bigfoot was real? I guess that's the same,
And
probably the same.
I think it was around the same time. And then yeah, it was around the same time. I really didn't like, I never really thought it was dangerous or anything. I've never thought that because I used to go backpacking alone and hiking alone and never had any issue. I've never felt threatened by something I didn't see. I mean, I've had bears and moose and, mountain lions close, and I felt more threatened from them than I did from anything else.
In my opinion too, I think they're trying to avoid us as much as,
Yeah.
so unless you're threatening them, I would think they wouldn't, they would leave you alone. I would
Yeah.
think,
Hmm.
unless you're in their territory,
Yep.
much the same as a moose or elk or.
Yeah.
Um, Darren says, I've heard we have werewolves way up north Wisconsin. Would would that be similar to the dog man?
Yeah. That's a dog man.
Yeah. Um, so some of these you already answered. What does he look like? You already told us that. Where were the circumstances when you saw him or her? And we talked about that. Was it exciting or terrifying to you, or both?
Well, the first time when I was 12, it was exciting. I mean, it was both exciting and terrifying because I didn't know what it was. I had one touch my tent when I was 20 in the Wind Rivers in Wyoming, and that one was exciting because I saw the outline of the hand on my tent, and it was gigantic, and it wasn't a paw, it was a hand.
It was a hand? That
It
would
was a hand.
scare that would
Yeah,
scare me.
and that was cool. The other ones I've seen really haven't been terrified. I know you guys said Mike kind of had an experience where he got nauseated and kind of felt really sick
Hmm.
one night when he thought there was one around.
That's kind of what started this whole conversation. We
Uh-huh.
did a episode last week where we went into a gulch
Yeah.
in a really rural part of Idaho, and I mean, it was the weirdest thing. We felt like we were being watched the whole time. There was a really bad smell. We
Yep.
went back about a month later and found tracks. And so I remember you talking to me about infrasound
Yes.
and what that can kind of do to a human. So that's what kind of started this whole conversation and why we
Yeah.
decided to do this. So do you want to talk a little bit about infrasound and kind of what it is and the theories about that and
Yeah.
Bigfoot?
I believe infrasound's real, or that they use it. It's real. It's real because elephants use it, whales use it.
Yep.
Um, a human can hear anything between 20 hertz to 16,000 hertz, and elephants can go way below 20. They can go like a -4 or way above that we can't hear. But what it does to people is it causes nausea, uneasiness, fear. Some people say they get zapped when they're around Bigfoot, and that's kind of what your body feels like. It's like a charge of something going through your system that really knocks your system out of whack for a minute. And it's not them trying to hurt you; it's them telling you, "Okay, you're too close. It's time to leave the area," or you're going to have something else happen. It's kind of like their first tactic of intimidation. I
Yeah,
think.
to
Yeah,
try and scare you away or protect them, their
yeah, because
territory.
yeah, but I also think they can sense things. There's a study up in Canada a few years ago. These scientists were studying trapping in wolves, and they actually figured out if you're thinking about trapping a wolf while you're setting the trap won't work. The wolves won't come near it. They'll avoid the area. But they found if you just thought other thoughts, like, if the good thoughts about anything except trapping, they would trap a wolf. And they
Mm.
kind of think that animals have a sense of what what you're thinking as you're doing something, and it kind of leaves a scent or something on the trap. I don't know. Animals have a whole different, whole perspective and spirituality to them.
Yeah, and they have way more senses and abilities than
Yeah,
we do to
yeah.
help protect themselves.
But
Yeah,
the infrasounds, yeah, I believe they have it. I've been hit with it once in Logan Canyon up here, up by White Pine Lake, and I turned
there
right around.
there are a lot of sightings up there.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
I believe in it too. And as when you were telling me about that, I did some research on it. And, there are a lot of animals that have infrasound. I mean,
mhm,
tigers, lions,
yeah,
elephants, whales, dolphins. I mean,
yeah,
why wouldn't Bigfoot have it the
yeah,
same way? And they were saying that, it could be used to help them communicate across long
yeah,
distances to each other. It could help them
yeah,
protect themselves. All sorts of reasons why they would
yeah,
have it. It could help them with navigation.
yeah, oh
Um,
yeah, uh-huh,
so many reasons why they would have it. So to me, it makes total sense
yeah,
that they would, and that describes a lot of how I felt when we were down in that gulch.
yeah. No,
Um,
no, I'm sure you guys were having an experience with one. Yeah,
I think we were too. I just kind of wish we would have seen it, not from up close, but
yeah, yeah,
far enough
yeah.
away. Um, can so here's the next question: why can't we get a good picture of one?
I think that's part of the infrasound. I really
Mhm.
do. I think they just, as they're, I don't know, as they're running, they send it out. Um, or they can hear the trail camera or see the trail camera. I know people who try to like make their trail cameras really, really silent, and they wrap it in, like, soundproofing, and they don't get anything on it at all.
I
So I
remember
don't know.
watching something about how dogs can detect electronic equipment.
Mhm.
So maybe Bigfoot can do the same thing.
Yeah. Plus, they're in that area. That's where they live, and so they'll see something out of place on a tree or on a log. I mean, way. It's real hard to even catch animals on them sometimes, unless you're on a really traveled trail. Like,
Hmm.
I put mine out up by 20 Grove, and in the past 3 weeks, I caught 2 deer.
And there's a lot more than two deer up there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, elk and
Yeah,
moose, everything. Yeah, mountain lions. Yeah,
yeah. Um, I was going to say, I believe infrared can be a big part of why you can't catch a good picture too. But
yeah.
but honestly, we do have some good photographic
Oh, yeah,
evidence.
yeah,
Um, there's a lot out there that's bogus, but there are
yeah.
some really good videos and pictures out there. So, I mean, if you've ever have you listened to Jeff Meldrum when he came up here to
Oh,
speak
yeah. He was
about
great.
the Patterson Gemlin footage?
Yeah,
If you've never had the chance to listen to his lecture, it is amazing. And I had always kind of had the thought of, oh, it'd be really cool if Bigfoot was real, but I wasn't sure. And after I listened to that lecture, I was like, oh yeah, Bigfoot's definitely real.
yeah, yep.
It was very interesting. John wants to know, I would like to go camping and try to see Bigfoot. Where do you have to go?
You can't go up there and
That's
just
a
stick it
million
out.
dollar question. We want to
Yeah,
know too.
I wish I could do that every day. I don't know. Just, I would go on some sites. Like, I really wouldn't. I don't know if I should badmouth the BFRO or not, because you guys met Cliff.
Well, he badmouths them a lot.
Oh
So,
yeah, he does now. I'm glad. Yeah, yeah. I would just find an area that has sightings in your state, and just go. I doubt you'll see them or experience them, unless you're real lucky. But if you want to try to get a response, do some wood knocks, do some whoops. I wouldn't leave out food because that could be any animal taking it. Don't, yeah. So I would do wood knocks and whoops the first few nights, and then just don't go out thinking that you're gonna see one, because you're probably not.
I almost think the people who have the sightings are those that aren't trying to go out and.
Yeah. Mine in Wyoming, when it touched my tent, I had no idea it was even around. No idea there was. I didn't have any thought in my head. I was just up there, a big sandy lake, just camping and fishing, and it showed up one night in my camp. I had no idea it was around.
Robert is asking, what is your opinion about Bigfoot being a nocturnal creature?
I think it's both day and night, because there's sightings during the day too. I think they're just like us. They have their sleep patterns. Some are insomniacs. I mean, I don't think they're on medications or anything.
Probably not.
I'm sure there's some that are always nocturnal, but during the day, I bet they're out more because people aren't actually in the woods more during the week. But on weekends is when the woods are busy.
Mm-hmm.
During the hunting season, I actually gotten a few reports from hunters who actually got them in their scopes the past few years, and during the day.
Mm-hmm.
But they're sitting in areas where hunters normally won't go, so they avoid the hunters, and they know how to. But yeah, I think a lot of them are day and night.
Hey, Mike, can you hear us? We can't hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you. Is your mute on? I think your mute's on, Mike.
Yes.
There you go. See, Mike's the one that really needs. Yes, we can hear you, Mike. And Mike, you're the one.
It's not just the technology.
Mike is the expert on Bigfoot here, so I would really we need you, buddy.
I would really like to do it too, but I am not an expert on the stupid internet. It just keeps going in and out. I can only hear about half of what you're saying.
Are you good now, do you think?
And you're gone again. Back, gone.
We can hear you. Grief. Nothing?
It's like, but I don't know. I can't hear you, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, we'll just continue on then. We have Chris joining us. And Michelle was replying to a question that Darren had about the biggest one being about 10 feet tall. I must have missed it, or I don't think I got to all your question, Darren. Do you know how tall he gets, or what's the tallest reported one that you know of?
I've heard reports of 11 feet tall. That's way tall.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think the average.
That was Goliath. That was 11 feet tall.
Yeah. So like I think about the average is probably 7 feet tall. The males, maybe a little taller. I don't think they get much taller than that.
That's still pretty tall.
In Utah, unless they're
You were talking about sleeping medication, and Chris says I've prescribed a few meds to them. I think he was referring to Mike.
Yeah.
Mike's pretty hairy. It's scary. Mike, can you hear us? Okay, I'll finish the questions then.
Yeah, for now.
Oh, do you want to, we got to why can't you get a good picture? Do you want to start from there, Mike? Okay.
Why can't we get a picture?
No, that's where we got to, Michael, on the questions. That's okay. I'll finish. One of the questions is, can they see infrared?
I think so. That's why they can avoid the cameras.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because if you see some reports, they have red eye shine or yellow eye shine. I think it depends on the type of device you're using that it shows up. I don't know.
For those of you joining via podcast, Mike's holding up a big sign that says help. He's struggling with his internet issues, and which is quite sad because he's the Bigfoot guy in our group, and he has a lot of knowledgeable information.
This is my favorite topic.
I know. We'll have to
Yeah,
do this
it's mine
again,
too.
Mike. It's not like we can't talk about it again.
Yeah.
Um, why haven't we found a body yet?
But I was prepared
Oh,
this time.
well, go ahead. Let's get you while we can.
Yeah. Why haven't they found a body?
Michael, why haven't they found a body yet? What do you think, John?
I can kind of hear him, but is he not going to come through?
We just lost him again.
Okay. I think they bury her dead. I think they bury him. I think they're smart enough and and have traditions like everything. Like the Indians say, they've been here longer than us, and I think they have ceremonies and they bury their dead. I don't think they eat them. I don't think they just throw them away. Um, but I know the government probably has them after Mount St. Helens, especially because it was
That's
so
an
such a
interesting
disaster.
story.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a few. Yeah, there's crazy up there. But I think they bury their dead.
I have a book. When I went to that Bigfoot convention, there was a lady who wrote a book about that. And
Mhm.
I don't think she came across the burial site, but it was a Native American that came across the site and they knew what it was and knew what was there. And they were huge graves and there was a bunch of them. And they
Yeah.
just left them, kind of blessed the land, left it alone.
Yep.
But also Cliff had an interesting theory on that too. And he said that he's like, they did a study of black bears in Idaho and
Mhm.
they were monitoring 200 black bears. So they
Yeah.
had them, they were tracking them somehow. And out of those 200 black bears, they only found the remains of one.
Yeah.
And they were tracking them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they're that hard to, and he was saying that there are insects that can eat an entire elephant in 4 months and be
Yeah.
completely gone.
I'm sure.
And that
Yeah.
some type of deer that also get in there and just eat the carcasses away. But
Mhm.
if we're tracking 200 black bears and we know where they are, but we could only find the remains of one, who's to say we're ever going to find the remains of a Sasquatch that is probably a lot smarter
Yeah.
than a bear?
I mean, how many deer have you found when you go hiking?
Not many,
Yeah.
unless they've been hit by a car on the side of the
Yeah.
road.
Exactly. Like I came up on one dead elk in Wyoming in the Wind Rivers, and they're everywhere up there.
Yeah.
And it was an elk that was dead for a long time. Yeah. So it's not hard to not find something in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons why. And you know what? I bet we have found remains, like you said. It's just making them public knowledge. If you found the remains of a Bigfoot, you wouldn't tell anybody, I don't think. I
No.
wouldn't.
And you probably read some of those stories about the Smithsonian coming into these
Oh,
museums, you know, came in and took the bodies from them.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's especially in Nevada, there were lots of graves found of giants
Mm-hmm.
in Nevada that the Smithsonian came in and took them.
Yep.
And yeah. So I don't know.
Maybe there's a reason the government's trying to protect them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're in areas where we want to protect our forests and our wildlife and
Yeah.
they're helping out with that. I don't know. This goes to the next question. Could the government be hiding or exterminating them?
I've heard different versions of this. I if you listen to there's a guy on YouTube I like a lot now. This is kind of what got me started. It was you guys and then him getting back into researching and everything. It's his name's Steve and he does How to Hunt on YouTube.
I think I've
But he
seen
also
his
have you
stuff.
seen him? He's
Uh-huh.
amazing.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of what he believes I'm right there with him
Mm-hmm.
because he's even shared stories where he thinks after people talk to the certain person at the BFRO, they start getting harassed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been documented by a few people. I think even Cliff said something about that.
Yep.
And, yeah, I think there's two sides to the government where one of them has to do research, so they go in and kill things, or they have to stop sightings or stop this certain area of being found. I don't know. It's some of this stuff's just, you know, above our pay grade.
which is nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories, and I think we could go on forever about
Yeah.
that. But Robert says, I also think they might think a camera might look like a handgun to them, so they would try to avoid it. Better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think, like, I mean, even my dog knows what a gun is and he stays away from it. He doesn't like
Mhm.
it. So
Yep.
they know it's
Yep.
not something good. Chris
No.
says Chris says predators don't wait for permission to eat.
No.
No, they do not. Um, let's see. Do they have a connection with UFOs or the paranormal, or are they just rare biological creatures?
Um, there's so many different ways to talk about that because I've read stories where they've seen them with UFOs or they came out of UFOs. Um, I think we don't know a lot of our ancient history. If you watch Ancient Aliens and then you kind of see what they say and the evidence they have, and there's something that we don't know about yet. I don't know. Like
Well,
Project Blue Book, like you said, it's just there's so much out there that has been hidden from us or not talked about, or our memories like has lost that bit of it.
I don't know about the UFO thing,
I
but
don't know
when I was researching the infrared,
either. Hmm.
it said that a certain frequency can produce light or like
Hmm.
balls of light.
Yep.
So I know that a lot of Bigfoot sightings are associated with balls of light. So maybe
Yeah.
it is that infrared that's putting off those balls of light that people may think is a UFO. Or
Yeah. It could be.
um, there was something else that I was reading about. Oh, it also said that a lot of people who have paranormal, oh, we're out of time already. Holy crap. Who have paranormal encounters, that infrared can give off the sense of having that encounter.
Oh
Um,
wow.
I can't remember the exact words. I'll have to look it up, but I didn't even know it was 9:30 already.
Yeah. It's going by fast.
So, John, we've only got through about half of our questions.
Yeah.
What do you say joining us in a month to finish the topic? Hopefully,
Yeah.
when Michael can be on, because he's the one that really has all the information. I mean, he's got lots and he has so many questions to ask you.
Yeah. No, that's
So,
great.
awesome. Well, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Sorry that Michael had some issues with his internet. He's the fun one in the group. We missed him. Hopefully, he won't have any problems next week. We'd like to thank John for joining us. You can follow him at Cache Valley Bigfoot on Instagram. He puts some really good stories on there, so you won't be disappointed when you follow his account. And real quick, we just want to give a shout out to all of our veterans. It's one of the causes that we like to support. If you want to go to redcross.org, they have a lot of different services for the veterans that you can, either volunteer your time or your money or whatever you have. And if you are a veteran and need some help, you can also go to that website, or you can text Get Hero Care to 90999, and they will help put you in contact with someone that can help you. Next week, we don't know for sure which episode we're going to do, but October is full of some really fun episodes. We're going to do a witching episode. We're going to do one with Chuck Zukowski. Have you ever heard of him, John?
I have not.
He he's a UFO guy. He's on UFO, or I think the website is UFO Nut, but he did a show called Alien Highway, and
Oh
he
yeah.
has
Okay.
lots. If you've read the book, The 37th Parallel, that story is about him. And he's got tons of information on cattle mutilations, which is
Mm.
something Mike and I experienced growing up. And so we have a lot of questions for Chuck. That'll be an exciting episode. That'll be on the 21st for sure. And then I think we're going to do a prison investigation one also. So stay
Sweet.
tuned. Stay tuned. I'm going to put out a graphic that'll have our shows and the dates that they're going to be on. It's our favorite month, so we're super excited to do some of the episodes that we've been waiting to do. Hope you can all join us. Stay weird. Squatch on. Anything else to add, John?
I'm good. Have a good night.
Okay, thanks for joining us. We'll see
Yeah,
y'all
you're
next
welcome.
week.
See ya.